All right. Welcome to the secrets to writing the best sales pages. I hope you all know why you're here. Thank you for those of you who are here in person. Always appreciate getting to see your lovely faces and hear your feedback in real time. But those of you watching the recording, thank you for watching the recording. Thank you for sharing. If you decide to share, if you are someone who got it because someone shared it with you, always appreciate spreading the word. I do this as, I mean, it's not entirely altruistic, but I do it because I hear people here asking a lot of the same questions when it comes to content marketing and writing for their website. So I want to host these webinars so that I have an opportunity to answer some of those questions. Um, moving right along. So who am I? Why should you care what I have to say? For those of you who don't know, I am your host, Allison Verhalen. My company is AV Writing Services. I always wanted to be a writer when I was growing up, was told writers don't make any money and I should choose a more practical career. So I figured, if I couldn't make a living writing books, maybe I could make a living making books. So I'll go into publishing. So I got to college, majored in English and psychology, which turned out to be the perfect degree for content marketing. Little did I know, had no clue what content marketing was, did not know this was an option. Like I said, thought I wanted to work in publishing. Graduated in 2009, right after the job market crashed. So there were no jobs to be had in publishing or really anywhere else. So, answered phones for a few years, found myself between jobs at one point, and my roommate at the time, her dad, who was an attorney, was awesome and offered to give me stuff to do around his office until I got back on my feet. And one of the things he needed was someone to write blog posts for his law firm. And he knew I had a strong writing background, so he offered me the gig. And I was like, what? I can get paid to write? Seriously? Yeah, sign me up. So I jumped at that chance, started writing for him and then for an associate of his and then for some friends of mine, and it just kept growing from there. It did start out as blogging. I did then branch out into other forms of website content like sales pages, landing pages, bios, all of the words that go onto your website to tell people who you are, what you do, and why we should care. So with that, let's continue right along with the difference between sales pages versus landing pages. So I don't consider like a blog page as a page on your website. It's not really a landing page because it keeps changing. The difference between a sales page and a landing page content does not change. It can be designed to sell. So there is some crossover between landing pages and sales pages. I think of sales pages as being a type of landing page, but a landing page is not always a sales page. So if you can remember back to like middle school math, I remember for some reason it's seared in my brain that a rectangle could be a square, but a square cannot be a rectangle. So it's kind of like that. Sales page can be a landing page, but a landing page is not always a sales page. So it does not, a landing page does not need to be designed to sell, whereas a sales page is a sales page. If you're not trying to sell, then it's not a sales page. Content does not change on a sales page. Always remains the same. I mean, not to say that you can't update it, but it's not going to be like a blog page where you're constantly getting new content up there. What are you offering first and foremost? So people always ask me this, and I'll talk about keywords a little bit more in depth later. But they always ask me, how do you start researching keywords? Because yes, once you put in a keyword, you can then find related keywords and your competition and see what's going on there and get all kinds of ideas. But how do you know where to start? Always start with your offerings, especially when it comes to whether it's services, products, what have you. Start by putting that into a keyword research tool and see what comes up. This is going to get you good ideas for what to put on your sales page, but depending on the words and phrases you use and how you kind of finagle it, that can also then lead you to really good ideas for content for, what questions are people asking around this topic that you can then turn into a blog post. So it sounds obvious to focus on what it is that you're offering for your sales page, but it is super important. And it's also important to have one offering per page. We get overwhelmed pretty quickly and easily. So even giving us more than 2 or 3 options, we tend to go, I don't know what to do when we panic and click away instead of clicking on the, have a conversation with me and we'll figure it out kind of a reaction. It's more of a, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to go away and find what I need somewhere else, or, watch a YouTube video or something to give me comfort instead of overloading me with all these options. So one service, one product per page. Yes, you can have variations on the product, but that's when you then end up clicking to a different page, is once the person selects, I want this size or I want this color. So make sure that you are only leading people to one thing. Now we get into keywords. So, and again, I talk about this more I have a whole other presentation that I've given on how to research keywords. So I'm not going to get too deep into this. I do want to really drill in, use the right keywords, have one target keyword per page. That target keyword goes into the URL for the page. It goes into the title for the page, and then it should be sprinkled throughout the content. Not too many times, because you don't want to have, that one keyword stuffing your content, which is where you use one keyword as many keyword times as you can keyword a keyword, right? That's not good content. Used to work in the early days of SEO, does not work anymore, and it can actually get you blacklisted. So don't stuff it, but sprinkle it throughout your content. And also use synonyms. Google is getting better and better at identifying synonyms. So instead of using one keyword over and over, you can use a different word or phrase that means basically the same thing, and Google is getting better at going, okay, they're still talking about this thing. It's still relevant. The thing I want you to really be careful about with keywords is where you use them. So it is really easy to find like informational keywords. Those are great for blog posts. What is such and such? The how-to are really big. Those are great blog post questions. Those are not good sales page questions. The keywords that you want to target on your sales page are keywords that people are using when they're towards the end of the buyer journey. When they're thinking about hiring someone or buying something specific, that's when you tend to find keywords that are more like, what's the best such and such, or who provides this in my area, kind of a thing. So when you're researching the keywords, when you find a good keyword, make sure you take that keyword over to Google and put it into Google and see what comes up. If you're selling products and you get a carousel at the top of the Google search results, that's a pretty good indication that Google considers this to be a commercial keyword. People are almost ready to buy or about ready to buy when they are searching for it. If you find other sales pages when you search that keyword, that's a good indication. If you find a whole bunch of blog posts and Forbes articles and whatnot, that's not a great keyword for your sales page. That's a good blog post keyword. So not only use keywords, but use the right keywords in your content. How long should your content be? I get this question all the time. So there is a difference between blogging and sales pages. Because on the one hand, by the time they get to the sales page, they are more interested, they're more engaged, they're more likely to read all the way through the content. They don't need to know a ton of information, especially if you've been doing a good job of leading them through your funnel with blog posts and newsletters and social media posts and webinars and ebooks and all of the things, right? They should have a pretty good idea by the time they get to your sales page of how it all works. But now you really want to focus on the benefits. What are the benefits of working with you? What does it look like to work with you? What can people expect once they reach out, and why should they work with you over someone else? So a good length for a sales page is about 800 to 1,000 words, because you do want to, get Google's attention. Google still prioritizes the longer content, but you don't have to get into the 1,500, 2,000 word range, which is sometimes advisable for blog posts, which I talk about in a whole other presentation, so I won't get into that here. For sales page, and it's not like hard and fast. It has to be somewhere between 800 and 1,000 words. Don't worry about that, but it does need to be kind of somewhere in that range. Use the right call to action. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see people using just in general with content marketing on their blogs, on their sales pages, on their social media posts, is everyone wants to go straight to buy my stuff. People are not always ready to buy your stuff. Also on a blog post, depending on what your buyer journey looks like, It might be, let's have a conversation, or here's more information on this thing. Or here's the link to my webinar that you can attend and get more information about this. When they get to your sales page, they are ready to buy, hopefully. So the call to action needs to be either to buy if you're selling a product, or to reach out to you for a consultation, whatever that final stage is that you use to get people to actually hand over their credit card information. That's what needs to go at the end of your sales page. And it needs to be the buy now button. It's not as effective as it can be. So think really hard about the words that you're using when you put it on that button. What is it that they're getting out of clicking that button? Is it downloading a book? Is it getting access to information? Is it becoming a part of your community? What is that thing that you're really going to provide them with? So those tend to be much more powerful than just, hey, buy this here. So really think about those words, and then test your design and test the words. So you can come up with 2 different versions of your button, 2 different versions of your page that show up at the same time. It'll just show it different results to different people. So you can test which one works better. If you got roughly the same number of people on the landing page, but one button was more effective and got more clicks than the other button, that's a pretty good indication that whether it's the color or the design or the placement or the words that you used, test all of that, because you would be surprised how small of a factor can have a really big effect on how many people click through. And your people won't be able to tell you that because they're not even aware that it's affecting them. They just know that they feel more inclined to click this button over that button. So test, A/B test, and test some more. And then perfect your headline. So especially from an SEO perspective, it's all about the headline, right? Because that's what shows up on Google, a little bit of text underneath so people can get a little more information on you before they make the decision to click through. But they're not even going to look at that little bit of text if the headline is not compelling, if it doesn't say what they can expect, and if it doesn't have the keywords. Again, this is part of the reason you want your keywords in your title, not only to make Google happy and help Google understand what you're all about, but because if I'm doing a search for something and I get a result that does not have the keyword that I just put into Google search bar, I'm going to be less likely to click on it because now I'm not sure it's relevant to my search. So have your keyword in there, have an emotional component in your headline. So, here's what you're getting and here's why you should care. All while keeping it super short, because remember, if it gets too long, it just cuts off at a certain point and they won't see the whole headline. So I know that's asking a lot, but it is so important that your headline be on point so that people can understand what they're getting and why they should care. Formatting, subheadings, 800 words. It's not a huge amount of words, but it's a fair amount of words. So make sure you've got subheadings to break it up. Make sure you've got bullet points in there. Subheadings are also great for keyword placement. It doesn't have to be your target keyword in every subheading, but it should be related keywords in those subheadings. Just to break it up, make it really easy to scan, because yes, they are in a later stage of the buyer journey, they're more likely to read through your content thoroughly. But having those subheadings, having those bullet points makes it really easy for them to scan and go, okay, yeah, I know about this. Oh, wait, I don't know about this as much. I want more information on this. I'm going to stop and linger here. So having those subheadings and those bullet points makes it really easy for them to see that. Images are also a great way to break up the content, but also make it easier for people to understand what it is they're getting and why they should care. Especially if you're selling a product, videos are great for this as well, especially if it's a product they interact with a lot. Show them how to interact with the product. Explain to them what they can expect when they are going to work with you. You can put that in your bullet points. Here's what you're going to get when you work with me. Point, this benefit, this benefit, this benefit. Always focus on benefits. Don't talk about how it works. Don't talk about, you can talk a little bit about your inspiration behind it, but people really want to know why they should care. What is in it for them when they buy this service or buy this product? Make sure it's mobile friendly. Hopefully your entire website is mobile friendly. But especially when you're dealing with a buy button or any kind of a call to action, any links, you want to make sure that button works. You want to make sure it's visible and that it works on a mobile device. You want it because we're increasingly mobile. More and more people are using their mobile devices over their laptop or in addition to their laptops. So it should all be mobile friendly, but I always recommend testing it yourself on a variety of different devices. So try it on an iPhone, try it on an Android, try it on a tablet so that you make sure it's consistent across all those devices. And no matter where or how people are accessing that page, they can then click on that that buy button or schedule your consultation or whatever it is. Click on it, make sure all of it works, make sure they can continue interacting with all of that from a mobile device, because anytime you make it hard, it's so easy for us to just click away and get what we need somewhere else. So make it as easy as you can for them to follow the steps, get all the way to, again, buying, giving you their credit card information, scheduling the call, whatever that final step is, make it really easy for them to do it on a mobile device as well as on desktop. Make good use of images and videos. I talked about this a little bit already, but it is super important. I mean, I'm a reader, so like I love reading, but even if I see a giant block of text, I'm going to be like, I don't know if I really have time for this, right? You can also use images to make, not only to break up the content and make it more engaging. We are visual creatures. We like it. We are drawn to images. We also process images way faster than we process words. We can process this image that's up here and our brain can go, okay, great, I know what's there, and move on much faster than we can even get through reading a description of the image. So do include descriptions of the image for SEO purposes as well as accessibility purposes. But having that image is really important just for engaging people and keeping them on your site. And again, explaining what it is. Maybe there's something that you can explain in your content that would be much easier to show people in a graph or a chart. Some sort of visual representation of what it is you're talking about. Absolutely include that in your content so people can look through that and use that as their reference and get a better understanding of what it is you're talking about. Because again, they're going to process that image much easier and much faster than they're going to process your content, your text, I should say. Testimonials, provide social proof. Everyone knows that you are saying what you're saying about yourself so that you can get leads and get clients. That does not mean you're not going to do what you say you do. It doesn't mean you're not as good as you say you are, but we all take what we say, what other people say about themselves with a little bit of a grain of salt, right? So we want to know, is there a referral? This has been true for time immemorial, right? We want to know if someone else in our network has used such and such, if someone else in our position has worked with so-and-so, because we are going to look at that and that is going to give, that's going to have so much more power than anything you could say about yourself. So get those testimonials, post them on your website, post them on social media. I know Mary Wu, LinkedIn Whisperer, will back me up on this because she and I have both given referrals to each other on LinkedIn because we know how powerful and how important it is for our prospects and our clients to see other people saying, yeah, Mary really knows her stuff. You should absolutely reach out to her. Or yes, Allison's webinars are awesome. You should absolutely attend. Mary says, yep, and those LinkedIn recommendations are public. That's true. So they're on LinkedIn. You can also have Google testimonials, but then also put them on your website because not everyone's going to go to Google or go to LinkedIn in addition to your website to kind of get that research. It should all be on your website. So have those testimonials. If you have video testimonials, again, so much more powerful because if it's just text, in theory, you could have written that yourself. And I know there are people who do that where they just write something up and they put it up there as a testimonial. But if you have a video of someone saying, yeah, no, working with this person was really awesome, that is going to go a long, long way towards convincing people to work with you. Test your results with and without links. So backlinks, and I meant to have another slide about this and I forgot. Backlinks are great for SEO because it shows that people are using you as a resource. It positions you as an authority in your industry. So Google likes it. It's also a great way to get people to your website. A backlink is when another website links to your website. in their content. And then it works the other way. You can and should provide backlinks in your own website that lead to other websites. The problem with that is you are then leading people away from your content. So including these links in your sales pages can be really powerful as a way of saying, yes, this is super important. Yes, this is how this works. Yes, here's the data to back it up. And then you have a link to that data so they know you're not just pulling this out of your butt. You actually have a resource for this. That positions you as someone who knows where those resources are and knows how to get that information, which is super valuable. But the downside is you are leading people away from your website. So you can and should have it set up so that it opens in a separate tab instead of closing out your tab. Because if it's in a separate tab, they're more likely to come back to your website. But they won't always because we get distracted, right? So again, A/B test, have a link in there, see how that page performs, have a separate link or a separate page, a test page that does not have any links, and see how that performs. Test and never assume anything in content marketing, right? Always test and test again. Live chat, especially with AI. I mean, this was true even before generative AI really took off, but it's especially true now that you can use live chat to increase engagements. It's just a chat bot. There's not a real person on the other end, although sometimes you can set it up where there's a real person on the other end, but most of the time it's just a robot with certain programmed questions and responses to questions that people are more likely to ask, which because you've been engaging with those people. So yeah, I want to know more about such and such, or where can I find XYZ? Have those pre-programmed in there. It's been shown time and time again that having this live chat option makes people much more significantly increases engagement, time spent on page, and actually conversions. Exit intent pop-ups. So I am with everyone in that I think pop-ups are the most annoying. And I hate when I'm on a page and I'm just trying to read something or watch a video and there's a pop-up and I have to try and figure out how to click out of the pop-up in order to get to the content that I want. No one likes that, but pop-ups are effective. They do get people to click through and again, download your thing or sign up for XYZ. And now you've got their email address and now they're on your newsletter. Super effective. So what I do is I use an exit intent pop-up. So what that means is when their cursor goes to the top of the screen and starts going to that search bar, instead of being on the page, that shows that they are getting ready to leave. They're going to click away. They're going to open another tab. They're going to do something else. That is when that pop-up shows up and says, hey, before you leave, are you interested in this? And then my pop-up, it can be whatever you want. Just again, make sure that it is leading them through the buyer journey. So my pop-up is my lead magnets. Hey, before you go, if you want this blogging checklist, shoot me, here's your space for you to put in your email address and I'll shoot it over to you. That has been really effective in getting people on my email list and then becoming clients. So it really works. So that's my solution to that, is the exit intent pop-up. Have an FAQ section to address questions and objections. If you hear people over and over saying, but what about this? But why do I care about this? But what about such and such? If you hear these over and over again, then people are going to ask themselves these questions while they're on your page. So be proactive in addressing those questions and answering them, and have a section on that page that addresses those objections. Because if you can overcome those objections in the content, they're going to be much more likely to take that next step. And again, hit the buy button, reach out for a consultation, for a sales call, whatever that next step might be. Use social media share buttons. This is a trick, especially that people use when in the retail space online, is after you buy something, you pop it up. It has this pop-up saying, hey, so glad you just bought this. Do you want to share with your friends and family and all of your social media followers that you just bought this? So you can have them share it on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on whatever, where it automatically goes out to all their followers. And again, that is super powerful social proof, because not only are you then organically getting in front of their followers, but you're getting in front of those followers in the context of, I just bought this thing, or I just bought, from so-and-so, or I supported this company and you should too, and here's why. So that can be super important for, again, gaining that organic visibility in a really powerful way. And that's it. That is everything that I have for you on writing the best sales pages. So I am going to end the recording here. So thank you again so much for those of you who attended, those of you watching the recording. If you are watching the recording and you have any questions, you can scan the QR code, get my head out of the way. You can email me at info@avwritingservices.com, or since this is going up on YouTube, you can just leave a comment on YouTube. Thanks so much, and I will see you all next month.